Hello and welcome to this 2023 recap video. 2023 was the craziest year of my life. I had extremely high highs. I had super low lows as well. I got some unforgettable experiences and life-changing friendships that I made along the way. And this is definitely going to be a bit longer video and most probably won't get the most clicks or the most attention in comparison to other videos I done. For example, like the vlogs, the more entertaining ones. But I just wanted to share what happened the last year and let everyone know what actually went on, also behind the scenes. And yeah, just let you be part of my journey, honestly, and just share like all the major events that happened and how they happened and what exactly happened, and actually all the wins and losses I had this year. So I definitely recommend everyone to do the same, not because you should share it or whatever, but just to have it for yourself, honestly, because when I went through my through my gallery, through all the pictures I had like the past year, it was amazing just to see all of the cool things that happened, and yeah, just have a flashback of the whole year. So short disclaimer, we will take the past 13 months into account. So starting from November 1st, 2022, as this was when the Marbella trip started, and this was when like my life actually changed. So my year in numbers, I organized 7 trips. I visited 3 continents. I hosted over 50 people in my events, and I made roughly 200K in revenue with these events, because people also tend to always ask me, oh yeah, how much money do you make and stuff with these events? And I made about 200K in rev. Obviously now you can run the math and like think what the profit margin on these is. It's not super high. So yeah, in profit it didn't make too much money, but in the end I'll talk about like this whole money topic again. And yeah, so definitely stay here until the end. And my biggest win, I feel like, is I met 5 people where I can for sure tell that these guys will be lifelong friends. Like, and the most beautiful thing is all of these I met on my own events or like through my own events, and 2 of them actually on the first trip. And I met many more people, but these like 5 guys I have where I can for sure tell these guys will be here like until the end, and there's even higher potential for more of these. So let's get into it. November 2nd until the 31st was when I hosted my like first ever trip together with Leon. Huge shout outs, because without him this would have never happened either. So it was 1 month of just work, gym, and sauna detox pretty much, except for the last weekend where we had a bit of fun to celebrate the whole thing. And everyone grinded as hell at the time. Like we went to bed at like 11 p.m. maybe. Some of the guys woke up at 6 a.m., 5:30 a.m. and just grinded all the time. And this was the first time I realized how powerful and inspiring it can be when you surround yourself with the right people. Because, funny example, we were there and Henry woke up at 5, I think it was 5:30 every day. And I'm like, man, like we're staying up late, like later than him, for example, and just to enjoy these amazing conversations. And in the back of your mind, you always have, okay, fuck, Henry wakes up at 5:30, so he's definitely gonna outwork me. And that's what he also said, like by the time you guys wake up for breakfast, I already have 2 hours of work in. So I'm like, damn, oh, I need to mute my phone. So no matter what happened, it was like Henry motivated all of us, for example, and like in other ways too. And I was like, okay, he wakes up at 5:30, so you gotta wake up at 5:20 just to be 10 minutes up like earlier than him, and just to pretty much outwork each other and motivate each other, which is amazing. And this was really the first time I realized how powerful this can be. And I also met the first few online money guys who I call very close friends until this day and until the rest of my life, 100%. And during this trip, the first time the idea of launching an own events and trips business was born. But at the time, I was still running my own marketing agency, which started taking off during that month, because I actually planned this whole monk mode with Leon together so we can scale our businesses, so we can work on them. It was a quite funny situation to be in, because there we had this great idea which everyone loved, which was like this events company. And on the other side, I still had my marketing agency going on, which went well at that time. So here we have a few pictures. This is the picture of the very first dinner we had together. Not everyone arrived until that point, but here's me without the beard. I look like 4 years younger, even though this was 1 year ago. And here we have Alex, Seb, Jerove, Leon, and Henry. It was just great. Then this was towards the end of the trip, where we had like fun. I think we came back home, or like went back home from the club or something. And then, yeah, this is just a picture of me working. So straight after this happened, we went to London for the GCC Christmas event, which Henry hosted together with Sam. And we flew directly there from Marbella. It was very spontaneous, like 1 day before the whole thing started, or 2 days before it started. We just decided we're going to go there and book our flights and book the hotels and everything. And there I met 35 new guys from GCC in person, which was amazing as well, because through me joining like a network like GCC or Tribe, I got to know all of these people. This even gave me the chance to start this new business, or to even do this monk mode and meet all of these people. So meeting 35 of them was a great experience again. And everyone was asking me about the event, because they would see it on IG, they would see it on the Discord group chat, where all of us would post like our wins from the month. And I didn't have anything planned after that, or like I just played with the thought of going to Cape Town. But then all of these guys asked me, hey, when is the next trip? Please let me know. Please let me know when the next trip will be so I can come. And I was like, okay, cool. So I went home from London with the idea in mind, there will be a next trip. And I was like, okay, let's just go to Cape Town. And yeah, that's like when this Cape Town idea was born. Right after this London event, I went to Florence for like 4 or 5 days to visit Barney and Yannick and a few other boys in Florence. And this was like the first smaller The Human Experience event, which like how it was called back then. Now it's called Queensgate. And it was a great time chatting about life, business, and especially my future, as I already played with the thought of cutting my agency to pursue trips and events. And it was quite funny because I don't know, I think the World Cup was going on at that time, and Barney and I were at this like Irish pub, whatever, watching the Argentina match, playing against whoever. And then we were there and just talking about my future, because I told him about how I really want to go and do these trips, and I don't enjoy doing the agency really. So we just said, hey man, after this Cape Town event, you should see how everything goes, and then based on this, you should decide whether you should do it or not. And the rest is history pretty much. So here's a cool pic of us in like this was like a villa / restaurant. I ate the best tiramisu in my life there. Then after I came back home from this trip, the Cape Town organization started, like the organization of the trip. And short disclaimer, like this trip changed my life, like completely. But it was also the hardest month I ever had in my life, and like the biggest obstacles I ever faced. So I almost had 2 sleepless weeks where I was just trying to make it happen and praying I would not ruin myself financially. And I knew it would be worth it in the end. And I just want to explain how all of this happened. So I came home and I researched some villas, and then I saw this villa. And I had no confirmations pretty much from people who would come, just people who told me they would be interested to come. And then I called this agent and he tells me no, like all the villas are booked out because it's so, because the demand is so high, because we would have gone in high season. And then I just searched for other villas, and 2 days later, this guy is calling me and saying, hey, like this villa I really wanted to have, it's here in the background. You've most probably seen it on my Instagram as well. He called me and said, yeah, this villa is free now. Like we got a last minute cancellation. If you want to have it, like you can book it, but you have to book it today and put the deposit down. So without any confirmation, without anything, like roughly 1.5 months before the trip was about to start, I was like, fuck it, okay, let's do it. And then I just booked it, and with my own money, like I put it down and secured the villa pretty much. And then I started advertising the trip, and it was a nightmare, because all the people who told me, I'm not blaming them at all, it was just what just happened is like everyone who told me they would have loved to come and everything, I called all of them up, or I messaged all of them, and no one was, and then everyone was just canceling and saying, oh no bro, unfortunately I can't make it, it won't work, blah blah blah, all of this stuff. So I was there left with way less people interested than initially anticipated. And I pretty much only had Seb, Wes, and I can't remember the third person who were confirmed. And it was still like two weeks before the trip started, or 3 weeks before the trip started. I was I was still there with 3 people or 4 people out of 7 people that I would have needed to close, or like for the trip to be able to happen without me being at a loss. But yeah, with Seb's and especially Pete's help, we made it happen, because for my own luck, there was an official GCC Inner Circle event hosted for like 5 days, and all of these guys needed an accommodation still, or like not all of them, but a few of them. So Pete just really helped me with the advertising of this and told the guys like they could come step by in my villa. And yeah, what should I say? It was amazing. So pretty much 1 week or 10 days before the trip started, we got the last spots filled. And like during these 2 to 3 weeks where I really tried to make this happen, I couldn't focus on the agency at all. I was just like, I think 20 or 30K down, because I had to put my own money down. I put my friend's money down who sent it to me for the trip to send it over to the villa owner. And then if the trip wouldn't have happened, like I wouldn't have gotten a villa refund for like 15K that I already put down. And I would have also needed to like refund my friends, obviously, which would have put me down like 25K or 30K for a trip that wouldn't have even happened. So it was fucking crazy. Every night I would go to sleep and I was like, I just don't want this next day to start, because the problems would still be there and I would still need to fix them. But on the same time, this was a blessing in disguise, because this made me network so much that I think like in 2 to 3 weeks, I had calls with over 50 people. I was just messaging guys, I was just advertising it everywhere. People were also advertising it for me, connecting me to people. And pretty much before this trip, I grew my network so much because I had to talk to so many people who had some interest of joining the trip. And it was just amazing for my network. And yeah, I also wanted to give huge shout outs to Alex, who booked the flight like 2 days before the trip started. And I reached out to him because the spot opened up last minute. So here it's us, like this screenshot. Wait, I have to do this. Here we have me sending him like a selfie and saying we just arrived. And he said, I'm booking a flight. When are the other guys landing? And this was like 2 days or 3 days before the whole trip started. And he just came there and it was insane. I think he's still grateful to this day that we made it happen. And the question is, how was Cape Town though? And Cape Town was like 2 weeks of straight fun, networking, business and party as well. I got to know insanely smart people. So here we have like this first iconic picture of the first like afternoon or evening in the villa where all the boys came over. It was like 20 of us, 25 of us just on this like terrace, like the boys enjoying cigars, whatever. I met Iman as well, like the first time in my life. Had a great chat with him in the club for like an hour or something. Had a like fun night out as well. Then here just a few selfies with the boys. Then this picture is it's Serge, Seb, Wes and Julian, because what we also did was a lot of business, like with all the like brain power that was there on the trip. I hosted like a mastermind day event where many of the boys who were there like at the time came, and then we had some great business conversations. Serge had a great presentation as well. And what happened after this trip was that I got labeled as the events guy, like the events guy, even though I had no clue about events. Like I just had put 2 trips together. And after talking to all the boys on the trip, I decided to close down my agency and do these events full time. And here you can see how my VA was just sending me screenshots of people who were interested in our services for the agency, and the VA was just constantly booking in sales calls, and I would tell the VA to cancel the sales calls because I'm there on the trip and I can't focus on the calls. So I was like, cancel all business for the next 2 weeks because I'm here and because I want to like make the best out of the next 2 weeks. And here we have like some messages that were sent in the chat afterwards, which was, for example, like when we talked about the events and something, and then this guy said like, damn, who is Daniel and how can I give him my money? Or Pete like just giving me this shout out and saying, hey, I can confirm that like Daniel is an absolute G and organized an insane trip for the boys here in Cape Town. And I got this message saying, hello sir, I'm planning my first international event later this year in Saint-Tropez. And as you're the GCC authority, I have some questions for this. I've never done this before. so suddenly I just started gaining a lot of traction in this whole like event space and trips organizing space, even though it was never the plan. Like people who know me know I'm not the most like organized person at all, but I don't know, I would say I just had like, yeah, just it was just a perfect storm pretty much. Like the opportunity arose and I just took advantage of it. And after going back, I decided I want to host my next trip. And I just put a similar trip together, like this Cape Town trip, just for Mexico and Tulum, and decided I wanted to roll with it. And I advertised it, and then I closed the first few people. And then I was like, yeah, I was like, wait a second, like this is my new main business, and I want the product to be like as good as possible, like to work on a baller killer offer. So what I did was I refunded all the people who paid me money for the trip. And I went back to Cape Town in March to do a monk mode and actually work on my new offer, like a Grand Slam Alex Hormozi offer, and do marketing for the next trip again. And we ended up having a good and productive time. Plus, I came up with the new offer for the business, which would turn out to be pretty much an all-in-one place for entrepreneurs if they want to level up their business, their personal brand, their memories book, everything. Like I had a 15 pages document on how my events would be like by far the best in terms of like value that you can get. And this is how pretty much Exiles for those outside of the Matrix was born. And here are a few pictures, Seb and I. Then here the boys actually did like a nice networking session at our house, and here like enjoying Cape Town steak together. And I ended up rescheduling the trip to mid-May because it was too short notice and it took me a while to really get the offer nailed down. But again, this time I talked to so many people again just about my offer, very successful entrepreneurs as well. And then after I rescheduled the trip to May, I came back to Germany in April and I fractured my hand. And I had to cancel the trip completely because I didn't want to go to Mexico with a fractured hand. Then it was May, and May was a pretty nice month. So it was my B-day, and we went to Montenegro. So I went to Belgrade with my brother and Nicholas, who I met on my second trip to Cape Town, to spend my birthday there and to attend like a large Web3 conference. Even though we had no clue and no interest in Web3, we just saw like that this huge conference would be hosted there over like my birthday weekend. And we were like, fuck it, let's get like the VIP tickets and go there because maybe we can do some cool networking. And in the end, it was a great idea because we had a killer weekend, and the networking we did was actually quite cool. We met very cool people and just had an overall great weekend. So here I have to say, we see a few pictures here, like for my birthday, for example, I got Yu-Gi-Oh cards, which was amazing. Nicholas sent me he sent me a Versace, how are these called, man? Bathrobe. And here's a picture of him with my brother in Belgrade. And which is also very great is that it was my brother's introduction to online biz, which completely changed his perspective on life as well and make him start his own business too, like right after he came home from the trip, because he was not really into online business at all. This was just me who was pursuing it like the past 3-4 years. And then I decided to take him with me after I did like all of this heavy traveling the months before. And then he came with us, and we also had like a great few days in Montenegro to celebrate like a national holiday, like some Norwegian national holiday with the Norway boys, which Lasse put together. And here, we just see like this picture on the catamaran, then us here, and Edwin and me journaling and putting our goals for the second half of the year together. And it was overall like an amazing, amazing week, and I'm very grateful for every single day in that week. And after that, like a month later, there was in June, there was the GCC London event. And it was a very fun weekend. Like we had a great dinner, we played croquet, and over 80 people were in London for that. I saw some of my old friends again, like Henry, who I've seen in December for the first London event, and then Wes, for example, who I haven't seen since January in Cape Town, and many, many, many more people. And yeah, it was very cool. And I also met Jan, who's in this picture here, who is a good friend, who's a good friend now. And for example, like just meeting one new person that you didn't know before can make a trip like this insanely worth it. So here we see a picture of Jan and me. Here we were talking with Iman like for his pop-up, like his Gazi pop-up. And here's the boys playing croquet. And playing croquet for money actually, which was quite nice. Like every round we played, everyone had to put like $100 in, and I think I played with Henry. Yeah, we obviously won. So after having a nice weekend, I got hit like with something heavy in my private life, and combined with the huge traveling the past 2 months, I was in a very bad mental state where I just needed some time to recharge and rethink things, because I traveled a lot. Like there were many events that I didn't really even include in this presentation. And yeah, I was just pretty much burned out, like from all the traveling, like from this thing that happened as well. And I had another event in Greece lined up for late June, July, and I had to cancel that one because of health issues. So what I also did was, after the recap of the London event, because whenever I travel somewhere, I just do a recap and was like, okay, did I learn something? What were the good moments? What were the bad moments? And I was like, I met 80 people, but effectively I only met one new person, which made me actually think like, what happened with all the people that I met on my own events and that I'm not even really in touch with? And I noticed that I'm only in touch with a handful of guys out of these, which is quite sad, because until that point, I think I met like there over 30 people, especially with the Cape Town event, like 30, 40 people through events. And I was only still in touch with like 3 or 4 or 5 of these. And I asked myself, like, why? Like, why is it only a few guys? So what actually happened? And I just came to the realization that often on these trips, or like in online entrepreneurship in general, but that's something that I'm going to talk later on in a different video as well, is that everything is extremely superficial. So everything you talk about is business, everything you talk about is how we can help each other make more money, and maybe girls and cigars. So that's pretty much it that is being talked about, and there's no real room for actual deeper connection. And I noticed that all the guys I stayed in touch with after the trip, I really had deep, extremely deep conversations and moments on the trip as well. So I figured out like, okay, what is actually important? And I realized not the business advice, nor the great content, nor the amazing experiences the past year changed my life. It was the people that I met, and most importantly, the guys who became my close friends. Like this is what actually mattered to me, and this is what actually matters like in general as well. Because you can have a great week with someone and then never talk to this person again, and this is what happened to me. So it is pretty much a waste of your time, and it's useless if you don't use it correctly. So this is how Exiles Building Brotherhoods pretty much was born. So we went from the all-in-one place for entrepreneurs to how do we make sure these guys actually become close friends on an event. And this is why this is how this whole new approach started. So again, what is a trip or an event worth when you don't get to bond with people on a deeper level and become friends? Exactly nothing. So the new mission became, come to the Exile with me and meet people who will become your brothers for life and follow you alongside your warpath, because that is what actually matters. And later I'll also show you exactly why, because I have some great examples for this. So after I came home in July was the first time in over a year I spent a whole month in one place, which was Munich, because like I grew up there, my parents lived there. It was my mom's birthday as well. Here we have like a cute picture of her and me. I spent a lot of time with my family as I just haven't seen them much, and I prepared everything for Exiles Algarve with the new framework, and I started working on my new project Helix as well. So July was an extremely, extremely important month I'd say just for the mental health as well, because I took a complete break from traveling. I canceled my event so I can actually recharge. And also recently I noticed how over traveling can like influence your abilities of actually enjoying traveling. So yeah, I know if I went to Greece and I had to refund people. I actually lost money on the trip as well because I had to cancel it. But I knew it was worth it because I couldn't have enjoyed the trip at all, and it would have just been pain. So yeah, July was an extremely important month for me. After that, with the Belgrade event in August, which was 5 days, and I invited a few of my friends over to introduce them to my city and my culture. And we rented the biggest villa in town and did some amazing activities. Plus, we celebrated Nicola's birthday. Like on this trip, like the nickname Jigo was born as well. And here we have a selfie of him and I. Here we have like a picture with all the boys enjoying a dinner. Here it's a nice pic in front of the villa, and here we were on a wine tasting. And overall, it was just an amazing trip. And there were like the guys and I was extremely happy because I could show the people, or show people in general, my favorite city on earth, and show them why it is my favorite city on earth. And all of them understood where it comes from. After that, in September, there was the Serviceable event, and it was Brandon's and Sergio's mastermind, which helped me realize something very important, like extremely important, which I mentioned earlier as well in terms of learnings. And we will, the plan was to go over this in the end of the video, but I will record a separate YouTube video just on my main learnings of the past year. And I can talk a bit about it right now, which is pretty much all the business, the business value you get from people. All of this stuff doesn't matter when you have no one who actually cares about you. Because if you think about it, let's say you're slacking. We had one moment on the trip, which I have later in the video. But think about it. Who are you going to share more business insights with? Who are you going to try your best to help more? Is it just a random guy who pays you for advice or whatever, where you're not even bought in emotionally at all? Or is it someone who you actually deeply care about and who you're going to tell the hard shit that this person needs to hear in order to achieve their goal? Who are you most probably going to be more invested in and trying to help more? It's obviously the friend. It's obviously this one guy. You're going to tell him, hey man, you really have to get your shit together. You really have to focus on doing the things you don't want to do, for example, or you have to overcome your fear or whatever in order to hit this next level in business. Because no matter where you're at, if you're at the start, if you're at 10K, if you're 100K, if you're $1 million per month, there's something holding you back always. And sometimes you don't need the business advice because 95% of information is openly available to the public. You have guys like Iman, you have guys like Alex Ramosi, you have guys like all of these people who share everything. And then you have people who are still sitting at zero, and then you have people who are multimillionaires. And the lack of information is not the reason for that. The reason for that has to be something else, and it's just your mental state. How well do you execute on all the information you get? So it's less about what someone can tell you. It's more about how they can help you achieve that and how they can motivate you, for example, as well. And again, sometimes you don't need a mentor to tell you, oh yeah, you have to do X, Y, Z to scale your business. Sometimes you just need a fucking friend to tell you, man, you have to get your shit together and you have to get your ass up and work. Otherwise, this won't end good for both of us. And this is pretty much what I got on this trip. And this changed my perspective as well. So this is the short learning. Right after this event, right after the Serviceable event, which is the mastermind, I had my first ever Exiles event with a new format, with the Building Brotherhoods approach. And people asked me about that as well, so I will record a separate YouTube video on that too. And I was extremely worried to see if people would really like the new concept and if it would actually work. And we ended up having a blast of a week. It was amazing. The new concept was a huge success. Everyone loved it, and I felt so much more fulfilling and fun the new way of running events would be. And many life-lasting experiences were made on this trip as well, especially the cliff jumping. And when you host an event, oftentimes you like the first 1 or 2 days is like where the people don't really know each other yet. Like you don't know, are the guys going to like each other? The conversations are not as flowing as they can be, for example. And as an organizer, constantly worrying, is everyone actually enjoying this? And then I can remember it was the third day or like the third evening, and I was up here on the balcony, and the guys were down here just playing Uno. I think until like 1, 2, 3 a.m. in the night, like they had some tournament going on. And I was just standing up there, seeing all the boys really enjoying themselves and having a great time. And I was like, yeah, man, this shit is really worth it. Like the guys really like it. And that was actually my favorite moment of the trip, just witnessing how much fun the other boys would have. And that was like my proudest event of the trip. And here we had the guys like a killer combo, killer squad to the cooking class. And he just included a picture of a mastermind session, which was nice as well. In October, right after this trip, or like 10 days after this trip, Marco and Roman, like Marco, my brother, and Roman, who you see here in background, like they went to Serbia together for a monk mode after they met in Portugal, which was amazing as well. So they met in Portugal on the trip, and 10 days later, they go together. They go to Serbia together to do a monk mode, and I was there as well for a few days or for 2-3 weeks, because in between I went to Ben's Italy retreat, and it was the first time in my life I attended a trip. Oh, not a trip. I attended a trip organized by someone else, which was an amazing experience. So unlike before, I didn't know anyone who would go to the event. I didn't have to organize anything. And I just could get the feeling of how it is when you attend something like that from the consumer side. I met people who I speak to a lot right now still, so this whole event was 10 times worth it. Like every event you go to, it's insane. It's always going to be worth it, because like these human relationships, these touches are so hard to like put into monetary value, but no matter how much you pay, if you make the most out of it, it's like the ROI on this is so high, every single one of these. And I enjoyed this one a lot because, again, for my trips, I know everyone, because it's like 80% it's always my friends who come, like who I already knew before, or I jump on a few calls with these people to actually get to know them, to see if they're a right fit. So there's no surprise factor for me at all. I know what's going to happen, and I know who all the people are. Whereas this time, I go there, there's 20 guys I've never seen before in my life, except for Albi. And it turned out to be amazing. Like we had a great brainstorm session. We went running every single day. It was super amazing, and I'm extremely grateful that I went there, actually, because one day before the trip started, I just thought of staying at home, and because I thought it was like missing out on my momentum that I built for like Helix, which I'm also going to talk a bit later about as well. But yeah, it's fine. Like it was 100% the right decision to go. Then right after this, like an extremely busy month or 2 months, in October, I had my Bucharest trip with Tudor, which was amazing. Like we spent 1 week in Romania, and we did a lot of cool like man and rotate stuff, like guns, fast cars, and even more guns. So we did this CSGO like shooting, where we just went into 2 teams and just shot each other pretty much. It was super fun, like played real life Call of Duty with airsoft guns. Then we have this cool mafia pick in the shooting range of all of us, and then we have Edwin and me enjoying our McFlurries in the G-Wagon during our 2 days supercar rally through the city, through the country. Overall, like experiences wise, it was a great trip, and also like jokes wise, like we made so much fun of each other, like just with the boys. It was amazing. After that, after spending a few rainy weeks in Germany, Zaki was a guy who I have had a few calls with until that point, and we never really talked about business because we connected on an extremely personal level. And he told me I should come visit him in Marbella, because like we were on the call, and he's like, "Oh man, how's the weather?" I showed him the weather, and it was super bad, rainy outside. And then he showed me the weather, and it was just like completely sunny. And then he said, bro, you should come over. And I was like, you know what? I'll just come over. So I booked my flights and I just went to Marbella. We had a like movie like GTA, like 3 days there. And we had our daily productivity meetings too, which were amazing, which I'll never forget. And the fun thing is, he, except for the events, he did not really know what I do or like what I do with my bro as well. And I didn't really know what he does except for something marketing related. And then we were having one of our productivity meetings where we talked about life and business. And then we were like, yeah, what do you do besides that? And then we talk about it. And then he's like, well, I thought of doing something similar back in the day because we have this perfect edge in the market that I'm not going to share here. And then we were quiet and I was like, dude, we could do this together. And then he said, yeah, we could actually do this together. And then both of us were silent. And I was like, bro, like we should actually do this together. And he was like, yeah, we should. So then we just jumped on a call with Marco, talked over everything. And since then we were business partners as well. So out of a 4 days fun trip, a business relationship developed as well. So yeah, I also got my new arm workout from him, like from this guy here, and it's fucking insane. So if you need some fitness advice, you can always reach out via DM. So here we see a picture of the nice steak we had the first day I arrived. Then we locked ourselves outside of the door, and then we had this guy come like at 10 or 11 p.m. And he has like a nice mirror pic with the Zach in the background. Right after this, like 1 week after this, exiles Koh Samui, which was like 2 weeks ago. So I never learned as much on an event than there, or like than here. In terms of like events organization as well. It was extremely game-changing for the next year, like especially mindset and clarity-wise. I'm going to talk about this later. And I had a great time, as some of my best friends were there, and people who I knew but weren't like really close, I weren't really close with, are much closer now. And here we have a group pic of us under this little waterfall, which was amazing. All of us tanned as hell, and then we have Wesley Elon Musk here. We have this group pic here, and then we have like Wes and I, Mr. Heartbreakers as well. And it was a great week. Like it definitely showed me my limitations, because until that point, if you just see like the past few months, like we had Portugal, then we had like Belgrade, then I flew to Italy, flew back to Belgrade, flew to Bucharest, flew to Marbella, then right to Koh Samui, like to Thailand. It were many flights in a very short period of time. And I was like, my social battery on that trip was extremely low, like just from the past year and a half of traveling. And at points I was like, what I mentioned before with the Greece trip, I honestly was like, I just want this trip to end now, because I literally can't anymore. Like it's so stressful, it's so hard. I need to sleep, I need to rest, I need to recharge from the past year and a half, or like the past months especially. But overall, like the experiences made it completely worth it. And also like the mastermind sessions we had on the trip, and especially like these little conversations you have after the sessions too, where you talk one-on-one, or like in a smaller group with guys about the stuff we were talking in the mastermind sessions, but I'll talk about this later. And then 1 week after this, which was like 1 week ago, like invited 2 friends over to Belgrade, who were like Julian and David, and we had a blast of a weekend. It was just like same as the first trip we had in August, just flying the friends in, or like getting them to come and show them like a condensed 2 to 3 days experience of the city and the country. And I can confidently say that we had an amazing time, like an amazing weekend, and it was super fun. Here we have like this food plate, which was amazing, like live band playing in the restaurant we were at, and it was great. What is going to happen is going to be from December 28th, which is going to be in 3 days, until January 2nd, the New Year's event. We're going to host in Belgrade too. Can't tell how this was because it's in the future, but I know it's going to be insane. And this was my past 13 months pretty much. It was amazing, and I want to talk a bit about my personal milestones. So I helped my brother to start his first business, which we managed to get to a substantial, like a very good amount. Um, Many people's like main goal, like first huge goal is like to hit. I'm not gonna say the number in the first month, which was insane. Like just what we could manage to do there. Then like this is 100% my achievement number one. Then I found friends that will be here with me forever, which is number two. So I just realized how powerful the right friends can be, or like who you surround yourself with. That's why my main focus for the next year is gonna be how I can provide this to others as well, not just through my events but also through other ways. And the next thing is just seeing my own development in terms of business skill. So even though I didn't do much business wise, like the past year, I didn't build a huge corporation or whatever. What I did was talking to so many smart people on a frequent basis, on calls and masterminds, on my own events. And this just developed my business skills so much as well, that sometimes when I talk to people who are I wouldn't say more on a beginner level, but no matter at what level, I just noticed how I still have like such a great understanding of how I can help people just based on the nature of conversations I've had the past year and a half. And it is just great to see by myself. And as I mentioned before, I experienced the huge difference between superficial and deep relationships and their impact. Because all of us can say, if like the first time we go on a trip, for example, and we meet people, we might think, oh yeah, these guys are gonna be my best friends forever because I spent 1 week with them and whatnot. But then if you leave home and then you don't really make an effort to stay in touch, the other person also doesn't. It's like it feels like you never talked with this guy before. And this is what I experienced on the one side, but also on the other side, I experienced guys who are there, who check in with me almost every day, who I can call anytime, who would help me with whatever I need, who I would help with whatever they need. Like they tell me what I need to hear. I tell them what they need to hear as well. And this is priceless. Like this is worth more than €1 million, dollars, whatever. This is worth more than 10 million euros, because you can have that money and be alone. Whereas now I have these guys, and these guys will help me make that money, and then I have both. So it's insane. Also, I have a crystal clear vision for 2024, and the first part of my prophecy from January came to reality, which was 2023 is not going to be the year of big money. It's going to be the year of big networking. When I was in Cape Town in Jan, I was on a call with a friend who told me, hey bro, this year we're gonna make so much money. And I told him, no man, like this year money is not my focus. My focus is to meet as many people as possible and just build my network and build deep relationships with these guys. And yeah, 2024 is going to be the year of big money. So what happened is, or like my goals for next year are these, like turn the second part into reality. Again, the first part is 2023 is not going to be the year of big money, it's going to be the year of big networking. And 2024 is going to be the year of big money. That is honestly the main goal. That my villain arc started already. I call it villain arc. I don't know why. It just sounds cool. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to eliminate all distractions and become a menace, like business-wise. We have 2 new things that we are going to launch, which is down here. Like I want to absolutely crush my competition and build the best community out there, which is Helix, which I already launched privately to my network, and the best info product on like this whole events networking topic in the market. Like no one is going to come close when it comes to the quality of the products that I'm gonna build here. That's why, like, villain arc, people are gonna hate me for the products that I'm gonna build together with my team, and it's just going to be insane. Gonna eliminate all distractions, travel way less, and just work. And what I also want to do is host a legendary and unforgettable trip to Tulum early March. So Tulum is a trip that I have planned like for the past few months already. Like, I'm not going to talk too much about it here. I just know that it's going to be the best event I will have ever hosted, based on like what I learned on my previous trip, based on the itinerary, based on what is planned, based on the villa, based on the content, based on everything. And I want this trip to be remembered forever, and I'm going to do my best for this trip to be remembered forever. And the next thing I want to do is I want to go from 0 to a mil with the new products that I'm going to build, which is going to start either on January 1st or like now a few days before that. And this is the goal for next year. But really, the goal is to hit this until May 14th, which is my birthday. I know it's very ambitious, like to scale a new business from 0 to a mil in 5 months. And I know it is very bold from my side to claim this publicly on a YouTube channel, but that's my goal. I'm speaking it into existence, because my goal is to move into my dream apartment in Belgrade with my brother, like from April, May, after my birthday or before my birthday. And this is fucking expensive. And I want to get my dream car as well, which is fucking expensive too. So I better make that money so I can afford both of these goals. And in the end, I want to give a few shout outs. Number one, most important person in my life, Marco, my brother, always my partner in crime. No matter what happens, we're always going to be there for each other. And even though we didn't see each other like for the first few months of this year, because I was just in Cape Town all the time, we saw each other even more like the second half of this year, where we traveled everywhere together pretty much. And I know we will take over the world together. Then huge thank you to Serviceable, like Brandon and Sergio. What these guys did to me or for me was insane. Whatever I needed, both of them were there. And without them, I wouldn't be where I am today. On the other side, also want to thank Seb, Andre, Wes, Edwin, and Bill, like some of the Serviceable boys, who are also like some of my best friends as well now. Massive shout outs. It's amazing like how close of a relationship I have with all of these guys. And obviously I love everyone in the mastermind as well. It's just like the people who I spent the most time with. On the other side, I also want to give a huge thank you to Julian, Cameron, and David, who are my Munich online entrepreneur friends, especially David, who I know since like officially since 5th grade, but really since 8th, 9th grade, which is many years now, like over 10 years. I want to give special thanks to Henry for telling me he wouldn't believe in me. So this was what I mentioned for the Serviceable event in September, that I had a very important moment, which was I was very convinced for myself that I knew what I had to do in order to grow my business, and that I'm just going to execute on it and achieve all of that. And then he told me, man, I don't believe in you. It's like that's what he said, like you have the highest potential in this room here, like based on the network, based on the knowledge, based on everything. But honestly, this time I don't think you're going to make it, because I just lack the executional skills to do it. And this moment, I was sitting there in front of 10 other guys. I almost started to cry because it was such an intense moment. And where one of my best friends told me he wouldn't believe in me. And I was like, you know what, bro? You know what? I'm going to show you, brother. I'm going to show you. So in that moment, it was not, I didn't need, oh yeah, you need this funnel, you need this hack, you need this whatever in order to grow your business. I needed Henry to tell me he didn't believe in me. So like I have a mindset switch, or a shift in my mindset to actually tell him, or like show him that he can go fuck himself lovingly. And that I'm 100% gonna make it, or like achieve all my goals. So yeah, after this trip, I get into cyborg mode and executed on everything I wanted to execute. And the next person I want to give special thanks to as well is Cameron, who I also give like the shout out here, for helping me start my villain arc for 2024, because he was in Thailand with me, and the past few months been very great months. I have to say I was stuck in my comfort zone too much. So the events were going good, next events were going good, social media is going good, everything is going good, and I kind of lacked the urgency, like to fucking go ham and work a lot, not just like to like minimal effort to keep things going and growing, but maximum effort to achieve everything the fastest way possible. So without a few very deep conversations with him, this would not be my goal. Like go from 0 to 1 million in the next 6 months or 5 months would not be my goal. But after talking to him, this is my goal now, and I know I'm very sure I'm going to achieve it. If not 1 mil, then a bit less. Like at least I'm going to be able to get these two, and that's why it's like special thanks to him, or special thanks to you if you see this video. So oftentimes, boys, it's not some, I can just repeat myself, it's not some random ass business advice that you need. It's fucking a deep conversation with your friend. And also want to give huge thanks to GCC and Tribe, like the first two international online communities I joined, because without these two, I wouldn't sit here right now. I wouldn't be in one of my best friend's offices here in Austria to record this video with this great setup. Yeah, like without these, I wouldn't have met no one who I know now. Like all the best friends I have right now in this online space, I wouldn't have met if I didn't join these communities over a year ago. So no matter how the relationships are to anyone, huge shout outs for what these guys have actually built. And also want to give a huge shout out to everyone who attended one of my events, because yeah, without every single one of you guys, the events wouldn't have been the same. And yeah, all of you were just a great part of my year. And yeah, I want to say thank you to everyone, and I want to say watch me to everyone who watched this video, who really stayed here until the end. I want to give a huge shout out to you as well for taking the time to watch this. I would really love to hear your feedback. I'd really love to talk to you, like reach out to me, say you watch this video, say you'd like to talk about like my goals, your goals together, and then we can just jump on a great call, connect. And yeah, I wish all of you guys a lovely Christmas if you celebrate, lovely New Year, and a great start. And I hope that all of your goals come true. And yeah, have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.